He did very well indeed, batting 131 minutes and hit 3 fours. And then we had Lewis playing extremely well for his 47 not out. Agus, do stop it. And he was joined by De Freitas, who was in for 40 minutes, a useful little partnership there. They put on 35 in 40 minutes, and then he was caught by Dujon Walsh. Lawrence, always entertaining, batting for 35. 35 minutes, hit a 4 over the wicketkeepers. Agus, for goodness sake, stop it.
Yes, Lawrence played extremely well.
He hit a 4 over the wicketkeeper's head, and he was out for me.
So you probably spotted there, that's one of the most famous examples of a recording going wrong. There's a lot of dead time on the radio there because they were broadcasting live and they'd started laughing. What happens when you laugh? Well, there's a number of different ways you can answer this. I'm going to start really by talking about physically. So what happens when you laugh is it's basically a different way of breathing than it is, it's the way to think about it. And this places it immediately, as you could hear from that clip, in direct opposition with speaking. Because when we speak as humans, we're able to speak in a particular way because we don't walk on all fours. Our arms and our ribcage are freed up. And when we speak, we take a breath in, and then we very finely release a controlled flow of air out through the larynx, enabling us to produce all these lovely modulated tones and nice long sentences, and we're giving pitch and qualities to our voice. And if I start to run out of air, you can hard to hear that it's a bit difficult for me to speak. I need to take another breath. Now, that's speaking. That's breath control for speaking. Laughter comes in and overrides this completely because laughter uses exactly the same mechanisms in a different way. So you're controlling your breath when you speak using your intercostal muscles, the muscles between your ribs and your diaphragm. When you laugh, those start to spasm, and they start to spasm more and more. And as you could hear, that just places itself directly in opposition with speech. People can no longer speak. Words dry up, and you start hearing these kind of silences and sounds as air is just being forced out in a very uncontrollable way. The other thing that it makes you do is produce very high-pitched squeaking sounds because you're forcing air out in a way much harder than you would normally do for speech. So both the men there were producing much higher registers than you would expect to hear normally when men talk. I got very interested in laughter because I'm interested in voices and I'm interested in how we convey information in the voices. And I've been interested in emotion for a while, and I got very, if you look at the literature on emotion, it's all driven by faces, and it's all really dark stuff like fear and anger and disgust and sadness. And I asked Paul Ekman, one of the major people working in this area, why are they all so negative? And he said probably because we should look at the voice, and in the voice there'll be more positive emotions. And I thought that's really interesting. So we've been looking at that body of work. And one of the important things about emotions are the extent to which they're culturally determined or found universally across human cultures. So as part of this, my PhD student, Dita Sota and Frank Eisner, who was working in my lab, did several trips out to Namibia to work with the Himba, who live a very isolated life. They don't have contact with the West. It's a sort of nomadic Stone Age existence that they have. And looking at how they recognized emotions from the voice, and then could we see, and we recorded sounds made by the Himba, could English people recognize that? And we didn't just look at negative emotions, we looked at positive things like triumphant sounds and laughter sounds and relieved sounds. And when we did this, the only positive emotion that we found to be cross-culturally recognized, so the Himba recognized the English doing it, the English recognized the Himba doing it, is laughter. Laughter seems to be a universal emotion. And just to give you the example of this next video shows, is a video that Disa made of a chap who starts off by conveying what was that big a triumphant sound for him as a Himba person. You may notice that what happened at the end there was he started laughing. And he was laughing partly because he felt ridiculous. The story they had to fulfill is you've killed a leopard, and everyone spends about 5 minutes going, me? A leopard? I don't think so. But you could also hear there were people in the background laughing at him, and in the end he just cracks up and starts laughing. And it's absolutely unmissable. You can't not see that. Of course, we should expect this to be the case, because laughter isn't only found in humans. So you would expect all humans to recognize laughter because we're by no means the only animal that laugh. In fact, laughter has been found in chimpanzees, it's been found in gorillas, it's been found in rats. Yang Panksepp in the US has found that rats make a laughing, well, they make a specific sound when they play, and then if you go in and tickle those same rats, you find that they make that same sound. And interestingly, tickling seems to really sit at the heart of laughter. So maybe throughout the world of mammals, we might find laughter in other places, because the origin seems to be very similar for rats or babies or chimpanzees, that you first see laughter emerging when the babies are tickled by caregivers. And here you can see a rat being tickled and a baby being tickled. And that seems to be almost like a function of tickling. And it is there to make you be laugh, as a way of making you laugh. The babies laugh, the rats laugh, the parents laugh, the parent rats laugh, and it sets up this social bond. And so I suppose the point I want to make is that from its outset, laughter is an intensely social emotion because it's first elicited in interactions. Now, I've got bad news for you if you're over 40, as I am, that you no longer are ticklish past the age of 40. It goes off for people. The good news is, you can see here, I'm still laughing, that there are other ways of getting to laughter. So one thing that you find, again, across all mammals is an intimate relationship between laughter and play. We use laughter as a way of showing that we are playing. We also use something called the play face, which you can see here in all these examples, a loose, open-jawed smile. And it's actually quite hard to take photographs of humans doing this because we tend to tense up into a rather more polite smile for photographs. But what you're doing is you're conveying the message that you're playing. This is all a game. We do it with the play face and we do it with laughter. And we're doing it in a social setting. And again, I have to emphasize this social nature of play is something you find across all mammals. As we grow up, just like in chimpanzees and in rats, we start to use laughter in slightly other ways. We use it in a sort of more social context. So if you ask people, and Robert Provine has shown this, if you ask people what makes you laugh, they'll tell you jokes. I laugh at jokes. I like humorous things. If you look at when people laugh, they laugh in conversation. And this is this social role for laughter. So you laugh more if you're with other people than if you're on your own. You laugh more if you're with your friends. You laugh if you're with people that you would like to like you. We use laughter as a way of forming and maintaining social bonds, and it's very strongly there in all conversations. And you ask people, they really don't believe you, and then you just go and look at two friends talking, and they will be laughing. They'll be laughing hard. So what's happening in your brain when you hear laughter? And this is something else that I'm very interested in. I'm a cognitive neuroscientist, and we use techniques like TMS and fMRI to try and ask questions about the brain. And you're seeing two different pictures here. The picture up at the top is showing you blobs in green, which are brain areas which are activated in two different conditions. And these are brain areas activated when you hear emotional noises made by other people, so things like ugh or laughter, and also activated when you move your face to pull a facial expression, say a smile. Now, people might call this a mirror system. It's brain areas which are recruited both by sort of the perception and the production of similar acts. What's quite striking, though, is this is what we see in people's brains when they listen to laughter in the scanner and other emotional noises, but it's much, much, much stronger for the laughter. So this mirror system, these output systems, which are also interested in inputs, show a strong response to laughter. And this is interesting because one of the things about laughter is that it is very behaviorally contagious. The clip I played you at the start of the two cricketing commentators making each other laugh, I deliberately actually edited out the joke at the start, and you all still laughed because it's just funny hearing laughter. Laughter has this contagious property. Interestingly, so does yawning. Ask me about yawning afterwards, but yawning looks a lot like this in your brain as well. So you've got this kind of behavioral contagion over and above its emotional valence, and we can see this in the brain. So even when people are having their brain scanned, which is one of the least amusing things that can happen to you, like on a day-to-day basis, when you hear laughter, you're getting ready to join in. Laughter wants an echo. Something else that we're also interested in is the nature of what's happening for different kinds of laughter. And I don't mean kind of evil laughter versus sarcastic laughter. One thing that's really interesting about laughter is that some of the time, like in that first clip, people are unavoidably laughing. They are emitting laughter that they can't stop. A lot of the rest of the time, we produce laughter which is actually quite polite. So that a lot of that conversational laughter isn't people falling to the floor and screaming with mirth, but you're laughing politely. You are deliberately producing the laugh in some way. There's been quite a lot of interest in this difference between real and posed laughter or information from the face. So here we've got two smiles from Paul Ekman, who's big on emotion. And can anybody tell me which of these two smiles looks better, the one on the left or the one on the right? The one on the right. And the reason is, in fact, the two pictures are identical, but the eyes have been changed between them. On the eyes on the leftmost one, he's not smiling. and it doesn't look right. It looks like a sort of something slightly wrong about that smile. Can we pick up anything up like that in the voice? I'm going to play you a couple of laughs. I want you to say which one you think is the real laugh and which is posed. Real? Posed? Posed. Real or posed? Real. This is probably the most fun you can have in a sound recording studio, making each other laugh. But we did this. We just did whatever it took to make each other laugh. It turns out what makes me laugh is watching one of my postdocs laughing at something. Anyway, complicated social animals, aren't we? So, what? I thought, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. So when we took these sounds, we had now real laughter that people could not avoid producing, and posed sort of social, friendly laughter. And we put that again into a study in a scanner when we just played them to people, mixed in with other sounds, so people didn't realize that the study was about laughter. And in there, people heard real laughs, posed laughs, other sorts of sounds. The brain can tell the two apart, although we didn't tell people to do anything with these sounds. There was very different patterns of activation for the real laughs and the posed laughs. And interestingly, when we took people out of the scanner and we did a post test with them to see how good they were at distinguishing the two, what we found was that the mirror system I showed you from that previous study that we were sort of relating to contagion, that's there for both the real and the posed laughs. The mirror system that deals both with inputs and outputs of laughter, that doesn't care about the difference. And you'll notice you all laughed at the posed laughs. Posed laughs can be contagious. But interestingly, within that system, the more activation we saw, the better people were at telling the difference between real and posed laughs. So it's not just contagion. There's something about engaging that mirror system that when you're listening to laughter, even if you don't know that's why you're listening, makes you better at telling the difference. There's some social value to this. And of course, it's a very socially important difference to work out. Now, laughter's been described as the closest, the shortest distance between two people. Here, just one final example of it is me trying to get a good friend of mine to produce some stimuli for me. And
responded to the Watford.
you can see I'm trying to film. I'm laughing too. Just immediately, it was all gone a bit wrong. We both just started laughing. And I think the point there is it's not just that laughter reflects an intimacy between people, but we actually use it to make those relationships more intimate. We use laughter as a way of breaking down boundaries, as a way of making new friends, keeping the friends we've got. When we laugh with people, we're not just showing we're amused. We're showing that we like people, that we love them, that we agree with them, that we're affiliated with them. And I think it's quite striking that as complex and as amazing as human language is, when we want to do that, we drop straight back into laughter, which is a behavior we share with many, many other mammals. When we go to use laughter in this way, we are doing something that just links us straight back to our evolutionary history that we share with rats and chimpanzees. In short, we ain't nothing but mammals. Thank you.